This is Jake Putnam. News Center 7 was the first and only crew into the Lowman area after that firestorm, providing you with continuous live coverage from the Lowman and Idaho City fires, with constant update from blazes throughout the state. And News Center 7 continues to bring you complete news coverage. That's why we're Idaho's news channel.
I'm Jake Putnam. Join me for a live report tonight from Idaho City.
Good evening. Idaho is a state besieged by fire tonight. As of this moment, nearly 40,000 acres have gone up in flames.
The most destructive fires are in the Lowman area. Flames and smoke have destroyed dozens of structures and driven hundreds of people from their homes. Many of those people have taken refuge in Idaho City. That is where News Center 7's Jake Putnam is standing by live right now. Jake, what can you tell us?
John, I'm standing here in Idaho City, where Highway 21 is still closed down. To the north of us, the area around Lowman still lies in ruins. Last night, a firestorm ripped through the area, destroying at least 25 structures. Hundreds of people were evacuated from the Lowman area late last night and again today. This morning, photographer Tom Hadzer and I went into the area with the first crews. Here's what we saw. First light outside of Lowman. This is the aftermath of a firestorm. Road plows were called into service last night. They'll spend the day clearing Highway 21 of snags and burning debris. Most of Lowman is untouched by flames, but north of town, destruction and wreckage stretch along Highway 21.
We had a real serious firestorm yesterday. It came up this way. The humidities went way down yesterday afternoon, about 2 o'clock. The wind picked up, drove the fire up the Payette River and across here at the Haven. Well, once it went through this area, then it continued on up north. We're thinking now that the fire is approximately about 7,000 acres.
The fire swept over the ridge above the neighborhood, above Haven Lodge, destroying everything in its path. At least a dozen homes were leveled by the sheer force of the fire. Mobile homes melted in the heat. Firefighters say roofs that didn't blow away exploded in flames. Roy Oliver's home caught fire minutes after he left. He escaped with just the shirt on his back.
When I went down yesterday, I didn't have no shirt. I just had a pair of shorts on and my slippers. Oh, I don't know.
Most of Haven Lodge was destroyed by the blaze, including a water truck being used to fight the fire. Meanwhile, the ruins continue to burn. Crews are too thin, too busy digging lines around homes that still can be saved.
It was a real firestorm. Most fires are driven by wind, but this fire developed to the point that it really actually generated its own wind and became what we refer to as a firestorm.
Homeowners, after getting a close look at the property, were re-evacuated. Crews prepare for another long day. Property estimates range in the millions of dollars, and the fire continues to burn out of control. And John and Gretchen, despite the fact that Highway 21 is blocked, we have watched a spectacular air show overhead as bomber after bomber have worked these two fires. You can see one fire over my shoulder burning outside Idaho City. There is another plume up above the Lowman Fire. Right now it is hot. The winds are coming up, all the perfect recipes for a disaster.
Jake, has anyone been injured or killed as a result of these fires?
Luckily, John, there have been no injuries. They went into those neighborhoods last night, braving flames. They told the people to leave. Most of the people left. Luckily, there have been no injuries and no deaths.
What's the feeling among the residents that have been evacuated from the Lowman area, Jake?
We talked to some of those residents this morning. As I said before, we were in there early this morning. They kicked us all out again. They evacuated the whole area. Looking at the people, I would say they're in shock. They can't believe that something like this would happen to them, that their whole lives would go up into smoke. As we walked through the area, John and Gretchen, it looked like an airstrike had come down and destroyed whole sections of a subdivision there. It's just incredible.
All right, Jake, does it look like firefighters are beginning to turn the tide on this at all, or are they still in the same situation they were yesterday?
Well, John, I would say that they're not even close to being in the same situation as we were yesterday. Things are worse. The fire blew up from just, 600 acres yesterday to almost 7,000 today. You can imagine what it's like up there right now with this heat and wind.
All right, Jake. Thanks very much for that report.
Jake Putnam is in the Banks area at this hour. He is keeping track of the Fleming Creek fire. Let's go to him. What's the latest, Jake?
Well, we're standing here in Banks parking lot. As you can see behind me, the fire is still burning up on this peninsula or this ridge. Fire is burning in between the two rivers. We did have some problems yesterday with some backfires, and that seems to be the talk of the town. Joining me now is Cliff Shaw. He's the fire information officer here at the Fleming Fire. Cliff, give us a briefing of what's going on now and give us an idea of this controversy. What seems to be the problem here?
At the moment, we're about 6,000 acres, and the fire that jumped yesterday to the north of the South Fork of the Payette is pretty well contained at this time. However, we're still very concerned about the fire south of the river.
Things have stabilized a lot here. Hand lines have been dug. This fire could be knocked down at the end of the day if we get some cooperation with the weather.
All right, Jake, reporting live via satellite from Banks. Thank you very much. Of course, as you know, there are hundreds of fires going on in Idaho as we speak. And just how fast things can change. And like David said, 8 to 10 miles is still quite a ways away. But when those fires move, they really go, don't they?
8 to 10 miles is nothing, Dee. When these fires get going, it sucks all the oxygen out of the bottom of the canyon floor, and the fire just roars through there. When we were in Lowman, you can see some of the pictures here. That picture there was taken, probably about 9 o'clock in the morning, and you can see how thick the smoke is there.
Out, isn't it?
It's incredible, and it's also cold there. Every day, right around noon, this inversion lifts, and then the fire just takes off. Very similar to the situation that Dave's talking about in Garden City right now.
Garden
Valley, excuse me.
Jake, you had a chance to talk with the victims, the people who have just been devastated by this. I think all of us are concerned for them. How are they reacting? Are they just in shock from the situation?
We went to the Oliver residence, and we were there when they came home for the first time. They hopped out of the car. They looked the ruins that was once their home, and they were just in shock. I think everyone is in shock. And the people are, an hour or two a morning, and then they're rushed right back out of there.
I think what would be so hard is, I'm sure there are folks watching us now that don't know whether their cabin is still standing or not because they're not able to get in and see or find out. Really, the information is very sketchy, so it must be difficult to be in that situation.